Welcome to the Max 6 Community Connections radio show and podcast with your host, Jennifer Burwell and Kyle McIntosh. Max 6 builds better communities where people and businesses thrive. We are broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center in Tempe, Arizona, and will be shining a light on the incredible stories of businesses we work with and how they are serving our broader community. And here is this week's Community Connection.
Here we are. Welcome, everyone. So today's show, we have LT Ladino Bryson, the CEO of vCandidates, and Ben Johnson, the owner of Arizona Web Pro. Typically, we have Kyle with us in studio, but he's not feeling well. So sorry, guys, you just get me flying solo. It's going to be a great show. So welcome to you both.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Hi. So we always like to start with a little bit of background because everyone has such interesting histories. So LT, why don't you start and tell us kind of where you're from and how you got to Arizona?
Well, originally from New York City, that's Manhattan, not a borough, and lived also in Los Angeles, back and forth, New York, LA, truly bi-coastal. Came here about 8 years ago and love the desert, even though chocolate melts. I love it here. Love the heat, love the community, love the way it's just an easy way of living, and it fits and suits my family very well.
Very true. So my husband's family is all from New York. I think I've shared that with you before, LT. And every time we go to visit, I love it. It's an amazing state, an amazing city. His brother lives in the city, but it's so exhausting. Like just getting groceries and like doing daily things. And like, I'm sure you get used to it, but I was just, when I come home, I'm like, I don't know why I'm complaining. Everything is so easy. You just, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do.
It's so convenient. And I tell you, when I was back in October and I miss it tremendously, what I miss so much about the city is that you can walk down a street and hear so many different languages.
Yeah.
By passing that one block. And it truly is just an episode. Like when I go back, I have to go to Ray's Pizza. I have to get Junior's Cheesecake. I have to do things, buy food, because there's certain things you just can't get anywhere but other than New York. And I'm a true New Yorker at heart. Everything about me is NYC.
Yeah, that's true. You and my husband would get along. It runs deep in people's soul when you're from there. So great. And Ben, how about you?
How long have I lived in Arizona? Is that the question?
Are you native?
For the most part. I was technically born in Boise, Idaho, but we moved to Tucson when I was less than one. So this is all I know. And moved to the Valley here, and maybe I was 12, so it would have been 90. I was born in 80, so doing the math on how old I was when certain things happened are nice round numbers.
He's so cute. He's born in 80. I love it.
So, yeah, I was 12, so it would have been 92 when we moved to the Valley here.
Nice. And you've been here ever since. Do you agree? Do you like the heat?
It's all I know. When I was a kid, we used to spend all day playing outside, and I never honestly thought about the heat when I was a kid. It was just what it was. And I'm sure we smelled bad and got sweat everywhere, but yeah, I don't really notice it.
Yeah. Although for me personally, not having monsoon season this year has been killing me. It's like the only excitement we have in the summer, and it's not here. So that's been
so weird. So weird.
It rained once. What are you guys complaining about? For like a whole hour.
Yeah, exactly. For an hour. Yeah. So I'm with you, Ben. I'm born and raised here. Nice. I'm a third generation native, actually. Oh. And so my family's come back here, goes back a long time. I don't really know anything different either. And when I was younger, we used to have competitions. Like we had a community pool down the street. Whoever could run the farthest barefoot in the summer was the winner. Like, how crazy is that? It's like 1,000,000 degrees on the asphalt. So, yeah, there's something unique about Arizona. So I kind of want to start with how you guys got involved with the businesses that you are in today. But first, what I wanted to talk about is one of the things as I was preparing for this show that I was thinking about both of you is that I so appreciate the courage and the tenacity that you both have because entrepreneurship is, is that your puppy? LT?
That's Diva. Sorry, she's going to be disrupting, but she loves her mommy.
She is adorable. Sorry, I get distracted by puppies and babies. But anyways, the amount of courage that it takes to jump off that cliff and do it on your own and build something that you put your heart and soul into is really inspiring. And that's one of the things that really fills me up. And I always look at you guys and just like, wow, that's incredible. So LT, can you tell us a little bit about why you made the decision to start the company that you did, and then maybe a little bit about the company?
I'm completely insane. I'll put it that way. And a lot of my friends tell me that. I spent 20 years in a career in entertainment. I was a record executive, and I have worked at Jive, Arista, Columbia, Sony Music. I worked with some of the best artists in the late 80s and 90s, as well as in the 2000s. And I could name drop, but I'll save that for later. And I just got burnt out. I literally was driving and I was listening to a song, and I saw one of my sons in the back, and he was just kind of bebopping like this to the song. And I was like, is my legacy Wu-Tang Clan? Like, is this all that I'm going to be about? I was always LT at Jive, LT at Columbia. And that was great, but there was no ownership in that. It was great that I could help Usher and Monica and Outkast in 1 year all go platinum. And the company earned $12 million, right, in sales. And I wasn't even paid 1% of that. Wow. So that's what got me to thinking, it's great to be able to assist and help people bring their dreams and projects to life. But what's the next step for LT? What is it that I can bring to life? And the transition of being an artist development executive and then being able to look at, literally I took a couple of months, like, what do I want to do when I grow up? Who do I want to be? What is the legacy I want to leave for my children? What will they say about LT? And the one thing everyone has always said is that LT either stands for lots of trouble or it stands for lots of tenacity, right? And it's the truth, and I'm just fearless in so many ways, to the point that it's very scary. I have a great team around me. So transitioning into executive recruitment just made sense. So now I went from working with a Mariah Carey or Aretha Franklin or a Whitney Houston or even R. Kelly, believe it or not, and going into helping candidates prepare themselves so that they're in their best presentation of themselves when they're going for the role of their lives in an interview. So becoming that recruiter, being able to help foster the relationships with the employer as an extension of their company, I became known as the employment therapist. And that's my moniker, and I'm sticking to it because I love being able to break things down to the lowest common denominator and being able to say, let's look at how we can make it better. And from artist development to career development, it's so similar. It was a great transition. So for me, it was just kismet. It was a natural sum of all of the slumdog millionaire experiences I had ever had in my career. And my company, vCandidates.com, is the culmination of all of those experiences. And I'm tickled pink to do it.
That's awesome. Your passion really comes through. And I really like that transition of, you went from helping music stars to helping people star in their own lives, right? Because for a lot of us, a position, our dream job is our, what we're trying to accomplish. So that's such a great transition to take those skills to help everybody. That's awesome.
It's fun. And, it helps when you have a great team. I have an amazing team. Two of my team members, one just celebrated 1 year anniversary with the company, another 2 years. And, entrepreneurship is not easy. It is not, if you're a 9-to-5er, this is not for you. If you want a check on the 1st and the 15th, this is not for you. It's really the motivation that I get to get up every morning with my feet running. The thing that I am pleased at when I go to sleep is the team that I work with. And I'm so very thankful for them.
Oh, yes, you do have some great people around you. So Ben, how about you? What pushed you off this entrepreneurial cliff?
Well, yeah. And, I liked what LT said about being insane, because you have to be a little bit crazy. Nobody in their right mind would do this. And yeah, I didn't have the courage to jump. I was kind of pushed off by, the whole COVID situation. My main client was a company in Texas in the oil industry. And when oil prices, they actually went into the negative. And so it was like, oh, I should probably figure something out now. And so, yeah, it was, but especially being, at Mac 6 and just a few different networking organizations, I've just I like helping people. I like solving problems for people. And I usually don't charge for it if it's just, a little question here or there. And so really the only thing I changed is I just started asking people for money for the stuff I'm doing for them. So unfortunately, I'm not able to volunteer as much as I was before. I had a lot of free time before. But yeah, like LT was saying, 9 to 5 doesn't exist anymore. Or it does, but it's, like 5 a.m. to 9. Instead, just reverse the two numbers. Yeah, it's, most of my career has been working for larger, big enterprise level companies, solving problems for them. And there's a huge demand right now. I actually haven't had to do any advertising yet, or any marketing or outreach or networking of any kind. When things started locking down, everyone started panicking and turning to technology to help adapt. And so people are just getting in line and knocking down my door, trying to, asking me for help. And so it's been really good for me. It's getting to the point where I'm getting more work than I have time to do. So, I'll be very quickly probably growing and hiring employees and things like that. I've got a few freelancers that I've been working with to help me adapt to what's happening. So yeah, and now I'm thinking, well, is this going to be sustainable after the COVID stuff and things calm down? But I'm developing some really good relationships with some of my clients. Most of my clients are small companies, medium companies, and I basically just take things that I was doing for these large billion-dollar companies and offering similar solutions for smaller, mid-sized. There's a lot of really inexpensive technology that's accessible out there that we can take advantage of. So it's really just taking it on a much smaller scale. So the work I'm doing is actually a lot easier than the work I was doing before, and it's more profitable. I'm not making one person rich. I'm helping multiple smaller businesses with, solve their problems. So it was just kind of forced into it, but I'm really loving it. And I don't have a boss, I have like 12 bosses now, but with this, I can, if any one of my bosses becomes difficult to work with, I can just thank them for the opportunity to work with them and move on. And, so it's a little bit more freedom. Same thing with LT. I think, most entrepreneurs, they really like the concept of freedom, even though it's not really more free. Your time is gone, but that's the end goal, right? Just to build something that will last and that you're in control over and can provide job opportunities for other people as well.
So tell us, Ben, a little bit about your company, Arizona Web Pro. Like, what do you do? What services do you offer?
Most of the work that I do is, it's probably basically just anything that's on the internet. If you need help with, I specialize in things like automation, web design, building software. Most of the projects I'm involved in right now, a lot of these smaller, medium-sized companies, they basically operate their entire business off of Excel files or Google Sheets, some kind of, like they use the tools that they know, and they use the tools that that they're familiar with. And as businesses grow, that quickly becomes difficult to work with. So most of the projects I'm doing right now are basically taking them to the next step, taking them from running all their business off of Excel sheets and using actual web software that's customized to what they need. And I do a lot of WordPress. Most of my clients are on WordPress right now, so about half of them. So I do a lot of optimization of the WordPress sites. I have my own dedicated server for running WordPress sites. So my WordPress sites run faster than anybody else's that I've seen. So I do a lot of automation. So, a lot of businesses, especially if your website is making money, I have these automated scripts that will go through and take screenshots of your website. It'll perform plugin updates. And if there's any discrepancy, anything changed or broken from a plugin update, it'll send me a text message and it'll fix it automatically. And so it's basically if I keep people's websites from going down, I keep them running fast. So that's the main two things I do is custom software and WordPress hosting.
It's good to hear, Ben.
Yeah, those are important things.
Especially if you're brother.
Yeah, I know. Take note, LT. So LT, explain to us a little bit about vCandidates.com and how the platform is different than maybe some other platforms out there.
Gladly. We are an end-to-end career platform that focuses on helping candidates transition from being job seekers into viable candidates, right? We also connect them with vetted recruiters who have the opportunity to source these pre-screened candidates. And we also help employers with the ability to offer an offboarding resource. So as people are laying off, they're able to provide a 3-month subscription for free to those that are transitioning. So the goal with vCandidates.com is not just to be somewhere where you go and look for jobs. We believe that the candidates are the golden egg, right? That the onus should be on the recruiters to find the great talent. And so a candidate can sign up with vCandidates.com, and instead of just being a one-dimensional resume, they now have the ability to express their thoughts and what they would like to grow into with the video. They're able to provide up to 4 versions of their resume, personality assessment, background check if it's necessary, a reference check, personality. The assessments can go very deep into having coaching with HR professionals, as well as being able to provide this one profile where once they've submitted their information, they no longer have to do the tedious and mundane chore of multiple application submissions, right? So you can now connect with literally 5 to 6 recruiters at one time with different jobs, and you don't have to do anything. The recruiter literally gets the opportunity to present the opportunity to the candidate, and the candidate can swipe left or swipe right. And then it starts to move you through the process, which a lot of candidates, they'll apply for a bunch of jobs. They'll create an Excel sheet to keep, to monitor where they've posted if they're organized. And they have to wait for communication. But with vCandidates.com, we have a dual CRM system that gives you real-time communication as you go through the hiring process. So imagine being a candidate, you put together your profile, a recruiter finds you, they literally send you an invite to view a job. And once you said, yes, I'm interested, you automatically get a calendar invite for screening with that recruiter. So instead of applying and waiting for days and getting that, basic email, hey, we're looking at your resume, we now put you through the process that within a 10-minute period, you have an interview scheduled.
Wow.
And it moves through that process. It's able to present you to a client that the recruiter is working with. And again, not as a resume, but as your complete profile. So imagine right now, we are so competitive in the candidate space because in February, we were a candidate-driven market where there were more jobs than there were people willing to shift and move. Everybody was comfortable and everybody was prosperous. Now that we've had this course correction, we literally are in a employer's market where there are going to be less jobs because people have downsized. They have the opportunity now to really see what teams they want to build and win, right? And now there's more talented people available. And those that are working, even they are going to be looking for new opportunities. So it's very competitive. Candidates are going to have to become more competitive. And vCandidates.com gives them the leg up to do that.
I can imagine you've got to be very busy right now because, like you said, yes, lots has changed. And, with some of the executive leadership teams that I work with, you're so right. In January, February, all the conversations we were having is we can't find talent. We don't have enough talent to fill the positions that we have. How are we going to grow? What are we going to do? And the conversation has completely shifted, which is kind of, I don't know what the right word is, unsettling, maybe on a small side, is because how quickly things can change. At least for me, it's had me really thinking. And, when you think about everything you thought you knew or things that you think you know, and then when the whole world at one time changes and questions things that may not be true anymore, I've really been doing a lot of analyzing my own personal life, my own professional goals, all of those things. So I don't know if either of you have been experiencing this, or if I'm just out there doing that.
Yeah, I read that blog article that you wrote about cognitive dissonance. That was really good, and exactly how I've been feeling lately too, about just all the crazy stuff that's going on right now. Is there's like multiple truths that have to exist in our brain that are opposing, but they have to find a way to coexist. And so that's just been a common theme for me the last few months.
Sounds like you guys need an employment therapist. Because that's exactly the type of advice, the blogs, the information that we provide on vCandidates.com to help people get through this. Yes, it is unsettling. And what's even more unsettling is that sometimes we're receiving reports about, unemployment numbers are going down. Yes, less people are able to claim unemployment because either the state has put a pause on unemployment, or they, those that were doing, receiving unemployment can no longer apply, or they decided to take a gig job, right? So if you get a gig job, you can't apply for unemployment. So the numbers of actual filings have gone down, but there's still tons of people out of work. And what we do at vCandidates.com is we have actual HR and recruiting professionals that work as vCounselors. We literally, once you put together your profile, you get a chance to get a 45-minute consultation. Because again, here's where the career development comes in. You're able to talk to someone who's going to review your resume for you, who's going to actually give you a mock interview and help you make your profile better. Because again, the goal is to make you the best person possible. And what our site also has is a 9-step career development bootcamp, so that you can actually have some intersection. What is my purpose and vision? Where do I want to go? How to clean up my social media? Because a lot of people are running out there, putting out these resumes, forgetting that there's a digital imprint and footprint we live every time we post something. And then, employers like myself and Ben, we're going to go straight to your social media to check out who you are, what you think, to see if you fit culturally, right?
Yeah, right.
So there's so many things that people, even I was talking to a C-level executive, I've done this and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, listen, the boot camp is to allow you to remind you of what you should be doing. You may know to do it and you've heard it before, but you've got to move from your head and move your feet. And that's where people are stuck. And yes, so many people should be rushing to vCandidates, but people are so stuck in their head that it's like being in quicksand. They can't move. They don't know how to shift from one industry to another, if they should be open to it. And because I've had transition with the company, because I had to transition industries, because when I was looking for a job back in 2009, I literally put out 200 resumes. I know what everyone is feeling and I understand it. And I help goad them to the right road to move forward. That's what we're here for.
So talk to us a little bit more about that. So I think it's so true. And I see that in my work too, is when change, the one thing that I think most, or actually all humans hate or are very uncomfortable with, is change and uncertainty. And that's where we are. And it has different effects in different people, but a lot of it really is that stuck feeling. I'm like frozen. I am so overwhelmed. I'm not sure what you intellectually understand what the next steps are, but you just can't move your feet, as you said. So talk to us a little bit about what advice do you have to help overcome the emotion side of it, to be able to get moving forward?
One of my favorite movies is What About Bob with Bill Murray. I love that movie because it has something so phenomenal in it. Baby steps.
Okay.
See, the problem is that we're so intellectual, we're so in our head, and we're so smart, we think we have to finish everything in an hour. And that's not what we're supposed to do. We have to take baby steps to motivate us to move further. I like to tell people, imagine where you are right now in your job search and even trying to figure it out. It's a treasure hunt. And most people think the treasure hunt is actually finding the treasure. That's not true. The true treasure is getting to the next clue. The next clue provides more revelation. It provides an ability to stop and rehash and to move in which direction. So for someone like yourself, Jennifer, that's so into your head and kind of, stuck in where you need to go, I always tell people to first breathe. Simply breathe. I always like my list, write out what you want to accomplish. Once you write out everything you want to accomplish, then compartmentalize them into each day. It might be 2 things you need to accomplish today. That's okay. You don't need a list of 10 and 12. It might be one thing. I had one thing I was supposed to do today before this interview. I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and I worked on that project all day. And you know what? I was so fulfilled that even though there were meetings that I could have had, I just moved things aside because I didn't want the pressure of having to stop and start and stop and start and start and start. And I could have done that up until 1 o'clock. But being present enough with knowing what you can handle and what you can't will help you move to the next level and through the anxiety of even starting, right?
That's so true. So for me, when I feel anxiety, it's action, right? And that's exactly what you just described. So every week I have my intentions for the week, my goals, and then I review them on Sunday and reset new ones. And that has helped so much for me. So Ben, this is changing the subject a little bit, but I think it's in line with, I like that treasure hunt analogy and looking for the next clue. So I've heard a rumor that there were a lot of business ideas you've had that you rejected before you landed on what you're currently doing. So I'm dying to know what they were and why they didn't make the cut.
Yeah. This is clearly a list of rejected ones. Okay, so I've got them on my phone here. I was talking to Kyle a little bit about these. I think people, when you're trying to find an idea for a new business, you got to just completely remove all barriers and just, think outside of the box. So this is not definitely meant as a real list. This is just the way my brain is wired. This was just kind of, let's see, what do I have here? So you know how they have like mobile dog grooming stations? Mm-hmm. So one idea was for a mobile dog cremation station. And, you could just find like an old pizza truck. Sorry.
Well, as we just saw LT's little dog.
LT doesn't know me very well, clearly. Yeah.
But you know what? It's good because it is so true. I lost 3 dogs last year.
Oh, wow.
And so having to have a service like that where I can know that I can take care of my pet, it's
a lot of these ideas, I saw a movie, I think, what was it called? Like Little Miss Sunshine or something. It was, you guys seen that? It's like the movie about the cleanup crew after a horrible murder scene.
Oh, no, you're thinking of Reservoir Dogs.
What was that one? What was that?
Reservoir Dogs?
No. Anyways.
The Cleaner?
It was a movie about a girl who starts a company, like a cleaning company, and they clean up after like horrible murder scenes. And, sometimes it takes doing the things that no one else wants to do,
That's the true ingenuity. Yep, that's the true ingenuity.
So this one obviously wouldn't work, but just another rejected idea. So, when a child goes missing and they put those photos of them up, this is, from their school, from some kind of photograph that they have. The problem is if a kid's going to be kidnapped, they're going to be in a state of shock. And so they're not going to be smiling. They're not going to look like that. So you have a photographer that advertises like the last photo they take, they just frighten the child and they get a photo of them. and then, and then you have those photos that you show and the kid will get more likely to be found because it matches what they so, again, rejected ideas. These wouldn't work.
I'm scared to ask what else is on your list.
Yeah, some of these I probably shouldn't read.
No, I need to know. I need to know.
Okay, here's another one. So you know how they have like a life coaches? Mm-hmm. So maybe like a death coach. So you basically start with your obituary and just make it as badass as you can think of. And you just work back from there to do all the steps that it would take to have that kind of awesome death.
Oh, instead of that, because if you wrote your obituary as like, because I've actually done an exercise like this in a leadership.
It's like a dream board for your death.
Yeah, but if you think about like the legacy you want to leave, the obituary,
yeah,
and then you can work backwards and build that life.
Yeah, like when you're 90, start skydiving, or just increase the odds of dying in a really cool way. Not on purpose.
I'm thinking a theme of like death and horrible.
Yeah. Well,
you know what? He's got that Addams Family kind of vibe going on with him, and I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. And I can kind of see the dream board. Everyone's so about life and what's that ending going to be. But if you're doing an elaborate funeral, you'd want. I get it. I'm there with you.
Yeah,
I kind of get it.
It's cool. Oh, he did a bunch of charity. He built a bunch of houses. That's cool. But what they really focus on is like, wait, he exploded? What? Like the way that they die is the thing that people will remember the most. So you start doing extreme sports when you're really old, you'll increase those odds. Again.
Yeah, I'm glad that was.
We love you here, Ben. We love you. We love you here, Ben.
So another one is, how they have like Uber Pool. That's a version of Uber where you get in your car and it's cheaper because you share your trip with other people. So I haven't really thought this one through enough before it got rejected, but I just wrote the name Tinder Pool. And so basically you just, maybe 3 guys, if they take the same girl out on a date, it's a lot cheaper. They can split the cost of the meal.
That's called a trade. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you could have an app for it, though.
Where I thought you were going is there's an app for sharing like backyard pools.
Oh, yeah.
People come swimming, which I thought that was weird.
So instead of Uber Pool, it's Pool Uber.
All right. Good.
A pool sharing. I like that.
All right. Well,
one more.
Why don't you just call it concubine? Call it concubine.
I don't think we need any more encouragement of this. Hey, he's on a good path.
So the last one I have here. So you know how, like if you get in a very small car accident, they call it a fender bender. And I have the theory that the word fender bender was a marketing term by insurance companies to make it sound not as bad, because it's still large masses of metal crashing into each other and bending your fender. That takes a lot of force. But if you call it, if you make it rhyme, it doesn't sound as bad. So I was thinking you could just do a branding agency for horrible accidents and just come up with rhyming names for terrible accidents and sell these to insurance companies so that they can save money on claims. So, like if somebody dies in a bungee cord accident, you could just call it a bungee plungy. You slip and fall into a wood chipper, that's a chipper slipper. Decapitation, you could call it knocky blocky. Some of these I probably shouldn't read, but you get the idea.
One thing that I love about Max is the creativity of the people around us. And it takes, if you came up with those, maybe like during the COVID, it was like you were in a dark place or something. I don't know.
Maybe I was having a dark day.
But I'm glad that, we're looking up. But it is true that it takes a lot of creativity to be an entrepreneur. And that's why literally every day when I walk in the office, when I am in the office, I'm surrounded by all sorts of great ideas. And 9 out of 10 are not so, not going to work, but that one. So if you guys could share a little bit about your experience at Max 6 and kind of why you chose this as your workspace. So LT, how about you start?
I was a member of Alliances, and Mac6 is a very prominent member and sponsor of Alliances. And in building my business, I looked for resources within the Alliance network. And so it just made sense. Even though I live all the way down in Queen Creek, I wanted to make sure that my team members who lived in North Scottsdale and Chandler and Phoenix had a really central located office to come to. I didn't want to push any talented people out of my company because of a travel to get to the office. So it just was a no-brainer for me. I love having such a supportive network of people around at any time. If I need something, I love hearing what Ben is doing now, Ben. And so there may be some collaboration with vCandidates.com down the line. I'm all about the collaboration and being able to have the space there. And we had our own offices, about 1,000 square feet, able to have, 4 offices, conference table, and the kitchen, the whole thing. And we still felt tapped into the Mac6 community. So that was that's very good. And as we, as now with the COVID and everybody staying at home, it was easy to transition into the space right now that I can go into. And I have an office because I need to get out of the office. Out of the house. Love my family, but no. I still know that my business can run well.
Thanks, LT. And Ben, how about you?
It's really about the community. It's about the people that are here, the fact that I can make jokes about horrible things and people won't judge me for it, at least to my face. They'll wait till I leave, at least.
You're going to be all on my social media, Ben, I tell you.
It's, I've made a lot of good contacts just from being here. I like the location. I have one client who lives in Tucson, but he flies to Vegas once a month. So the airport's right here. So, just stops in, spend the day working, and then he'll move on. So it's pretty easy to get to. It's about 10 minutes from my house. And it's been a lot of fun, especially during COVID. I've moved in from a shared desk down to my own private office just so I can keep the germs away. But they've been really accommodating for my business. And then as I start to grow and after I meet with LT and figure out how to hire lots of people, then I'll have all these desks here available. So it's a perfect space for opportunities to grow without having to figure out, okay, now I'm this big, so now where do I go? It's right. You've got options for pretty much all sizes. So it's been great.
That is one of the things that I really enjoy about Mac6 is we develop such deep relationships with our community members. And it's so sad to think that, they might leave one day. And what we want to do is, it's not because of we ran out of space. Well, if we get super, super huge, we'll run out of space at some point, and that will be awesome. And we'll have a big party and celebrate. But we do have the flexible space, so everything from the desk to the private offices. But then what I really liked about your journey is, you started at Resound when I first met you.
Yeah.
And then you took your other position with the oil company. And, when we heard that you were leaving, we were all very sad. It was like, oh no. But then we had such great news that I love it here so much that I'm going to stay here and run a desk. And then when we heard that, you were making some more changes, it's just such an honor that you, even through all of the changes that you've made, you've still chosen to stay in our workspace. And it makes my heart happy because it feels like, everything that we're doing and working so hard to build this community, it really is happening. And it's in a large part not what Mac6 team is doing. It's what everybody in the community is doing. Because it's not just the relationships you have with us, it's with everybody else in the community to help and support. So thanks for never leaving.
I definitely feel very supported here. And when I left Resound, it was basically like, bye, Mom, Dad, I'm moving out of the house, and then just moving into the garage, So there's a lot of options here to grow. And when I was working for Resound, came here, but I'm like, well, I have this other opportunity to work, but I went to Mike and I was like, would it be awkward if I quit, but then you still have to stare at me every day 2 rows down? So obviously I've got a good relationship with them. So he's like, yeah, that's fine. And, we still collaborate and, I still do some work for Resound from time to time. And pretty much everyone that I've met here has I don't have anything officially published, but I would just let anyone here in the space know if, I'll spend up to like an hour. It's almost like office hours, just picking my brain or whatever, any kind of technology related things. And just by doing that, it's opened up a lot of doors for me, just by offering that 1 hour, maybe a week or however often I do it. There's been so many people, maybe that same person is talking to a friend. And actually one of my biggest clients right now was somebody I met at Mac 6, and he was just out talking to a friend who owns a business and like, oh yeah, I know a guy. Why don't you give Ben a call? And so, yeah, it's
great.
It's a huge, that kind of stuff happens to me like on a monthly basis. So it's pretty good.
Can you guys both, I'm really interested in spirit of community and just because I'm genuinely interested, like if you had your ideal target client, what does that look like? And I guess that's my question. What does that look like? Who is perfect for your business? So Ben, if you want to start.
For me, it's anyone who has a website that is, the main source of their income for their business is one way or another through their website. It usually isn't worth it to, put the kind of resources behind it if your website is just like informational, like here's my contact info, but if your website, when I was about 15 years ago, I worked for University of Phoenix, and I was in charge of about 20 different software applications, making sure that everything is up and running. And somebody actually sat down and did the math and figured out it was about $1 million for every hour worth of lost revenue that these systems were down. And so obviously it's not going to be that scale, but I've got a lot of experience of running a very large, complicated system. And so I can apply that to smaller, medium-sized businesses for a fraction of the cost of something like that. So yeah, anytime if your website goes down, it means lost revenue for you, then I can definitely make sure that doesn't happen.
That's awesome.
So is there a specific industry or as long as it's just the website is...
Yeah, pretty much any industry. I've got, obviously in the oil industry, I've got experience in education. I've got a couple of ed tech companies as clients. I've got 3 different clients in the healthcare industry. So, pretty much anything.
You might want to check out the neighboring school districts. I know they were having some problems getting things up and running for education. So you might want to check in with them, see if you can help them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Hey, this is another idea that might get rejected, but teachers are everywhere in the state are having to learn all these new platforms and technology. You'd be like a teacher IT consultant.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
I already do quite a bit of that. My parents are both teachers, and my wife is a high school teacher, and several of my friends are high school teachers. So yeah, they're on the front lines right now. School's going back. Her school went back last week, and our kids go back this next week. And so yeah, it's a huge struggle because everything is online right now. And so they're just, luckily she has IT support living under her roof. But for teachers who don't have that, and keep in mind, most teachers right now also have kids, most of them who are starting online school, at the same time. And so, I mean, yeah, it's kind of insane because if your internet goes down and you're home, you don't have anybody to call, and you've got a class full of students staring at a blank screen, So that's a huge challenge right now that we're faced with all over the place. So
yeah, I know we could spend hours just on that topic, but I'm really curious for LT. So what is your ideal customer? Is it the job seekers, or is it recruiters? Is it a combination of both, all of the above?
I always say it's the golden egg, it's the candidates, it's the job seekers. Our goal is to help as many as possible get prepared so that they can, again, make the best presentation of themselves. And whether that's the candidate that is looking to transition, even though they have a position, whether that's someone that's been let go, or whether it's an employer that's looking to transition or downsize, they have the ability to, again, buy 3 months on our subscription platform to make sure that as they're leaving a little goodwill to their team to move them forward as they transition. So, our goal is to continually help job seekers. We even have offered up until the end of August, Tempe, but we decided to donate that back across the country. So if you are struggling, if you've done the normal things that you have to do and you want some more advice, go to vCandidates.com. We're here to help you. Use the yellow banner to sign up free. This is $125 savings, and it equates to about $2,500 worth of career development costs. So again, our goal is to get people moving and set up so that they can thrive again.
That's so awesome. And that, like we talked about, that's so needed right now. And that's such a generous offer for job.
Our pleasure.
When I first heard of, the offboarding package, I thought that was an incredible offer. And I hope that many, many companies take you up on that or on that package, because laying people off is one of the most difficult things that employers, managers have to do. But if you're able to give a resource, that's incredible.
But if any of those employers that are in AZ and they're affiliated with SHRM, they'll be able to see me on Tuesday, August the 25th. We're having a session called Company Culture Never Dies. And this is what people think when they transition someone, they're gone. Right now, job seekers are so savvy that if they're applying for a position, they're going to go to see if there's any negative reviews. And there are sites like Glassdoor, who doesn't like to admit it, but also the layoff.com that specifically gives insight of what companies are like inside when they're transitioning, all kinds of stuff. And we want to help educate those employers to say, guys, you might be on a list. I mean, I read something today. They gave all the scoop on a meeting on Wells Fargo about downsizing of thousands of people. So customers and employees are watching the employers more than ever. They're trying to align themselves with purpose-driven initiatives, right? And if they're not aligned, people are not biting. And it's going to be harder for these companies to find good talent because the talent won't come to their table.
So funny story, LT, and I thank you for bringing up Arizona SHRM conference. We had speaker training this week, and I saw your
on it.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, LT's going to be there." So I'm also doing a presentation on the 26th. So I am excited. You're gonna be at the conference as well and attend? It's virtual, but
yes, and I will be looking, and I have already earmarked to make sure that I check you out and heckle you in the back. So it's going to be great.
What is SHRM? What is SHRM?
SHRM is the Society of HR Managers.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's a certification, initials at the end of anyone that's moved on into HR and they're serious about their craft, to make sure that they stay well educated on the different regulations and processes that are moving forward. And believe it or not, there's nothing set up in SHRM continuing education units for offboarding, and that's where we're going to come in.
That's awesome.
That's kind of shocking, actually. Wow.
Yeah, it was shocking when we looked at it. We looked at it and sent a message to the president saying, hey, we're here to help you. So we want to help educate why it's so necessary.
Yeah, I never even heard of the term offboarding, and that means that probably most companies aren't really doing it, or
yes, they are
not doing it right. Yeah, well, for them, is giving you a cardboard box and walking you to your car.
Exactly, because everyone goes through. Anytime you leave a company, you go through offboarding. You get your COBRA understanding benefits. You sign a severance letter. You might get someone to help you with your resume fix. Maybe not. Some people get outplacement packages that cost thousands of dollars, but doesn't take them anywhere. And so, again, because we're so candidate centric, it's like, let us take them, let us help groom them and move them forward, and then connect them with people with jobs.
Yeah.
I think we're getting credits in heaven on that one.
I like that.
I agree.
There's a lot of offboarding happening right now.
Yes, and we're trying to get people to understand it, and it's going to come back around, because It's never too late to be kind. Never, ever, ever.
Oh, I love that. That is such a great motto. So I have two last fun little questions that Kyle and I always ask at the end of the show, because if you can believe it or not, we're almost out of time. So the first question is, which book would you recommend? And is it your most favorite? Okay, forget that. Let's re-ask the question, because Kyle always does this one and I'm totally messing it up. What is your all-time favorite book? And would you recommend it? Or is there another one that you recommend? Ben, you look like you might have a
favorite
answer.
My all-time favorite book is the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. And Apple's TV service is actually making it into a TV series, which I'm really, really trying not to get excited about. And then they announced the producers and directors and the actors, and it's actually got a really good list of people behind it. But every time they make something into a movie or TV series, especially when it's your favorite, like, you can't get your hopes up too much. So I'm still trying to not get too excited about it, because Game of Thrones was one of my favorite books, and then they kind of ruined it when they made the TV series. So I'm trying not to follow that same mistake.
So I think Mike Jones also had a similar recommendation.
Oh, okay.
The name sounds familiar. Yeah, good. So would you recommend it for anyone?
Only if you like really boring books. It's incredibly boring. It was written, in the maybe 60s or 70s, and it talks about robots and technology in a weird way that, it's like the way they talk is, the main character in the book, by the end of the book, it's like 600 years after. So they don't really have, they move, it's almost like a historical novel, but it takes place 20,000 years in the future. And so it's very slow moving. Not for everybody.
I'm looking for a slow moving book about robots and technology. I'll be sure to check it out.
Exactly. Just wait for the TV series.
If it's about a self-help, I'm a huge Outliers fan. I love reading something that's going to help me be very provocative and actually do some work to figure out who I am. I love the concept that, did you know that most amazing star hockey players are born in either January or February? Yes. It's proven.
Wow.
So one quick story. My husband, we know this, and Outliers is a big family favorite too. And my husband, we got our last baby was due in January, and he was so excited because he's a huge hockey fan. And he was like, yes. And then we're having a daughter. And so now she has to be this great hockey star because he's so convinced of January. So anyways, yes, that is.
And it's really weird because my firstborn is born in January 28th. And he's a lefty, softball. And naturally, when he was a kid, he would pick up the softball and just throw it. And it would be a perfect curve. When he would play, we're Brazilian. So when he would play football, soccer, he did it until he was about 6. He's like, okay, I'm tired of that. He was really good. I'm like, no, really? He's like, nah, no, I can be good. It's okay. Basketball, he could play lefty, but he was only encouraged to play as a righty. And then when the coach would say, switch it up, Caleb, he would then switch it up and just drive people crazy. And so I love it. I love it from that perspective. I'm such a psychotic athlete. Ridiculous. But if I have to go for suspense novel, that kind of stuff, well, I wrote 2 suspense novels that I'm very fond of, and it's a hot mess. Woo! It's called To and Fro. It's a series, and it's really about if you had to be in a position where you made change or, had to relearn some things, but everything else around you stayed the same. How would that be? I could get in a car accident, have amnesia, and have to relearn things. But if everyone else around you is still saying the same with their bad habits or whatever, how is that going to encourage you, or how is that not be off-putting to you? It's a fun read. It's hysterical. And I get to...
Nice.
I wrote it. And then I'm also working on a book right now called The Employment Therapist. advice and anecdotes from a smartass. So
I love that title. Awesome.
It's smartass means not what you think, but
I like that even more.
Is it about donkeys?
About what?
Intelligent donkeys?
Something like that. Oh, chill.
So we're running out of time, but quickly I want to get this in. And LT, you kind of answered this next question, but what's one thing that most people don't know about you that surprises them when they find out?
Oh, God. I'm a twin.
Oh.
Unfortunately, she died. Identical twin. I was born an identical twin. She was crib death, so she's not here with me. But could you imagine the world with two of us?
Wow.
Makes you appreciate just the one more, doesn't it? Oh, diva.
Ben, how about you?
You seemed pretty surprised when I told you I can do backflips.
That is
backflips.
True.
Yeah, I'm a 40-year-old overweight guy, and I can do backflips.
We're still limber. I love it.
It gives me hope.
Makes me tired.
Yeah. Good. All right. So as we wrap up, just can you quickly tell us, each of you, where people can find you if they want to reach out? So Ben, how can people connect with you?
That's a good question. I'm kind of like, where's Waldo? I hide really well, and you have to look for me. No, I have my website actually is in a work in progress right now. I haven't actually finished my own website, and I know that makes me sound like a gluten-free baker, but ArizonaWebPro.com is my website. Within the next week or so, it should be up.
Good. And LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can just find me on LinkedIn. I don't know if there's show notes or something where I can put all that in, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
And LT, how can candidates and employers and recruiters find you?
They can find me on V as in viablecandidates.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, but my profile on the website will be able to allow people to just go directly to my LinkedIn page. And I'm here and available for anybody that wants to speak. Reach out. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your time. We survived without Kyle, so round of applause.
Oh, we miss you, Kyle.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Max 6 Community Connection radio show and podcast with your hosts, Jennifer Burwell and Kyle McIntosh. We are off to continue building better communities where people and businesses thrive and telling the stories of capitalism as a force for good through the businesses that we serve. To be a part of the conversation, join us for a tour of the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center in Tempe, Arizona, or find us at max6.com.